What's going on in the world today? Hey YouTube, what is up? I'm back after not posting in a couple of days. Anyway, let's get right into this topic. So, as you might have guessed from the title, I'm going to be talking about what kind of person you are and what makes up being that type of person. And this is comes from personal experience. I've dealt with people like this and I'm going to tell you what I'm like as well. So, the first example I want to give is, are you the type of person who goes out of your way just to get a laugh from your friends to make somebody by making somebody feel bad? Do you go out of your way to do that? And I've dealt with this. This has happened to me all the time. I got made fun of all the time for just doesn't really matter. Most regularly actually was my foot size, and most of you probably know what's associated with foot size is the myth that you have a tiny penis if you have small feet. And I have unusually small feet for my height. I had unusually small feet compared to like everybody else, and I got made fun of for this all the time. But anyway, people would just go out of their way to make me feel bad, and then once they started taking me down like this, uh, I just didn't feel good, and then they started hurting me in other ways. There was this guy who would always just, for even if I didn't do it, he'd like say I do something just to try and make my life worse and make people think that I just wasn't a good person, that I should be discriminated in some way, or not, maybe not discriminated, just they should not like me. And anyway, that's what this that's what this is about anyway. You don't want to be friends with these type of people. I was never friends with these type of people. I never did this to people. And if you're that type of person, you might want to reconsider your morals here. And really what makes this type of person is just somebody who's insecure about themselves. And this might sound like I'm going off on a bullying rant, but I've got a couple other things to talk about as well, but I'm not going off on a rant about bullying. I know there's this whole Amanda Todd thing recently, but that's not where I'm going with this. Where I'm going with this is that you just might want to reconsider your morals, and you hear this all the time. If you see somebody who's getting picked on like that, just step in, say that it's not okay to do that, and really stop whoever it is, even if it may make you look like, oh, this guy's standing up for him, he's not cool. Don't do that. Don't think that, rather. If they say if they say that it's not cool, then they really just aren't people you should be friends with. And these comes from these, especially in high school, these dick guys who really think they're like the coolest guys because they play football or lacrosse or whatever it may be. They think they're cool and they run the whole show and they talk about all the girls they've hooked up with and everything. And this comes again from personal experience. I know guys like this. I hate them, and I'd rather not deal with them, and I usually just ignore them when they start with stuff. Anyway, that's the type of person that you just want to stay away from. Now, the next type of person I'm going to be talking about is that type of person who really just keeps to themselves, and while nobody may have anything to pick on you about, or may really not like about you, be, that's also not really the best thing, because people really don't know you that well. Usually when you're this type of person, you're that, not to be mean or stereotype, pick on anybody, maybe you're not like this, but usually that type of person is the type of person who does well. They're a very successful person in school. They get the good grades and everything, but they're not really in the big social groups. They're kind of maybe have one or two other friends who get the good grades as well in school, and are really not the social type, rather. And they're they're really not the people you'd see hanging out with, going to the parties, hanging out with the jocks. And this goes back to though the jocks are most jocks are dicks, at least at like a lot of public schools, some private schools. It doesn't really matter where you are, and that's the whole thing about that. So these guys keep to themselves because they don't really want to be picked on. And then the third type are these really the other people who usually just act themselves, and usually these are the guys who are getting picked on, like, oh, you're so weird, oh, why'd you say that, why would you do that, type of thing. You're really weird, and that's just stupid, and these are the guys who get picked on by the jocks, as well as maybe for being unathletic or whatever it is. And the jocks really put themselves above the rest of these guys, and that these guys should be valued that high, and that they should really think that about themselves, because they're not like special really in any way. There's nothing about them that really should make them any better than the rest of the people, and it's just stupid. And these other guys, like the people who do well in school, and these other guys even who just act themselves and act normal, they're going to be later on in life more appreciated than these jocks, because most of these jocks, they're going to hit the college level, and then that's it. They're not really going to make the team. Maybe you get that one guy from high school who's way, way better than the rest, and he gets like a scholarship somewhere to play whatever sport it may be, and then actually ends up making the pros. Unlike most of the other guys, heck, you're not even gonna see these guys. Most of these people, you're not even gonna keep in contact with them. You're the only time you might even see them is at your high school reunion, and but even after that, unless you end up living in the same town you did as a kid with some of the other guys, you're not gonna end up really seeing these guys, and that's really something you should think about, because it doesn't matter then. It doesn't matter then if you act yourself or not, because people aren't going to appreciate you for acting yourself. And this is another thing I want to make a point about, is that is what type of person are you that type of person that is willing to not act themselves just so they can maybe fit in and be popular and everything? Are you give up all morals and everything you stand for just to be that type of person? Because I know I wouldn't be that type of person. I'm the type of person who acts myself no matter what way it makes me look, but I still try to fit in with the other guys, even by acting like myself. And that's something that you can't give up. You can't give up yourself just to fit in with other guys. And I think that's really just silly. You just want to act cool. You start pretending you like things that maybe you don't. And I've had experience with this. One of my best friends, to be cool, pretended like he liked some things to fit in with the other popular guys who liked those things as well, even though he really didn't like those things as much. Or he told me before he really didn't like those things. But but like I said, he pretended to like these things, and but then people kind of got to know him and realized he wasn't actually like this. And while they still accepted him and liked him and hung out with him, he wasn't as cool as he was when he pretended to like these things and they didn't really know anything about him. And if you pretend to like these things and stuff like that, people get to know you. People get to know you a little bit better, and they realize you don't actually like those things, and that you were just lying about them, and you weren't really being yourself, and they realize what you're actually like, and that they maybe don't respect you as much because you lied about what you like and what you think is cool and everything and all. So I'm gonna end it here. I have a lot more to say on this subject though, so I might make a part two. Until then, guys, thanks for watching. And if you've been watching up to this point, leave it a like, please. And that's all. Bye.